You're not on the field, court, or ice. You're on the couch. From DG to DC, this is Coaching from the Couch with your host, CWall. Delivering coverage for all DC sports teams from a hometown perspective. Nats, Skins, Mystics, DC United, Washington Wizards, Caps, Bowie State.
My name's CWall, I'm a PG girl. Down for my skins, I don't know if you heard. If you like watching sports, then I am your girl. Sit down on the couch if you're not on the field. Cold on the ice, pick any sport that you want. Know that I cover it tight. What would you like? From baseball to football and more. The list can go on the whole night. Big shouts out to my HBCU fam. Never forget who I am through the wins and the losses, the highs and the lows. We gotta stay strong, so I stay 10 toes. Make the competition back. The way I kick it, make them mad, man. CWall and we live and direct. Sit back on the couch and relax. Come on.
Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update. And I'm your host, CWall. And normally I have a graphic that also it says the name on there. But hey, listen, you don't see it tonight because I have literally been calling this football team the Washington football team. And I mean, hey, it is what it is. It absolutely is what it is. And I still feel like Washington football team works, but guess what? Since that's not the name, we won't call it. So I'll have to find another graphic just to put Washington Commanders on it. So it is what that is, you guys. But welcome. This is the Washington Commanders update. Again, I'm your host, CWall, and I see folks checking in. You already have one of our housekeeping rules for the show, and that is to love, like, tag a friend into this show. Make sure you are sharing the show. And CWall team member has in the chat, Joy is letting everybody know there's major CWall happenings going on and you never, ever want to miss a thing. Okay, so make sure you all are saying what's up to Joy. Make sure you all are saying what's up to our intern, Maya. Give Maya a high five, love her comment, and say hello to Maya. And as always, say hello to my mom. So as you all are checking in, make sure you're hitting the love button or the like button. You're sharing the show. You're tagging your fellow Commanders fans in it, saying hello to the CWall team, saying hello to Mama Waller, and all of that great and wonderful things. As always, we have to do all of the updates of everything going on. Have to shout out Ubiquitous Enterprises for your CBD products, you all. Quality stuff. If you go on their website, make sure you are using code CWall5. CWALL and the number 5 to get 15% off the entire website. Okay, you absolutely want to check in and get that 15% off using CWall5. And oh, by the way, because we're going to keep doing this because it's going to happen all year long. Okay, all year long. If they're using CWall5, the reason is because the 5th anniversary of CWall Sports and Entertainment is literally right around the corner, everybody. Right around the corner. You want to go and get your tickets. Make sure you go and get your tickets. If you go on the CWall Sports and Entertainment website, you can get tickets there. If you're having any trouble, make sure you're hitting us up to let us know that you want to make sure you are in the building. It's all the details are on the event page. The actual anniversary is happening on March the 6th. That is when the event is taking place on March the 6th. So you want to be in the building for that. We are very, 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 very excited. And we can't wait to celebrate and see everybody. Make sure you're there. And we're encouraging on-time arrival. On-time arrival. So make sure you're in the building, you all. It's very, very important. And as Cameron Mingo already has, I see Cameron has read the email. Ticket prices go up on March the 1st. So you want to be in the building for that for certain. Like lots of exciting things happening with CWall Sports and Entertainment. We're going to be celebrating and commemorating this very important milestone throughout the year, but you absolutely want to kick it off with us on March the 6th. Okay. So I see James has checked in. James has dropped a comment here about loving the new nickname. You all, we're going to get started. Again, make sure you're loving, liking, and tagging in your fellow Commanders fans as you are all checked in. Okay, you all, we're going to do a bit of choose your own adventure. Okay, we're going to do a bit of that in a moment. We have to stop and share our respects to the loved ones of Washington Commanders player Charlie Taylor. Everyone was so devastated to hear of Charlie's passing, and we just want to send our love and our condolences to Charlie's family and to all of the fellow players that loved him so much. Here is a statement from Commanders owners Dan and Tanya Snyder on his passing. We are incredibly saddened to hear the news about the passing of the great Charlie Taylor. Charlie is a member of the Washington Ring of Fame and one of the most decorated players in franchise history. He retired as the NFL's all-time leader in receptions and holds our franchise record for total touchdowns. His achievements were recognized by the entire NFL community with his induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1984. He represented the organization with excellence and class over 3 decades. As a player and a coach, Charlie was a great man and will be sorely missed by all. Our thoughts and prayers are with his wife, Patricia, and the entire Taylor family during this time. So I absolutely have to share some of the Commanders highlight video that they put together of Charlie. Listen, dynamic player. Now, even Charlie is a little bit before my time, but hey, you couldn't talk about this team without talking about Charlie Taylor, franchise leader in touchdowns, second in franchise history in receptions, receiving yards, and scrimmage yards, one of 5 players in NFL history with 5,000 plus receiving yards, 1,000 plus rushing yards, and 80 plus touchdowns, an 8-time Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer. Okay, y'all, we truly, truly lost a legend, and we are saddened to hear of Charlie's passing. So many prayers up to his family for certain. Other Washington Commanders news this week that is very important to share. Tight ends coach Pete Hainer has retired. Pete worked with Ron Rivera for quite some time. Pete first coached in the NFL like back in the mid-'80s. He established a reputation for leading players to exceptional seasons. Many credit Coach Pete for the development of Logan Thomas, another tight end whose name you all may be familiar with in the league. Greg Olsen also credits Coach Pete with his development and his success in the league over the years. So wanted to share that news with everybody. Also, with that, Washington has hired Coach Juan Castillo. He's taken over the tight ends coaching role. So here's a little bit about Coach Juan. He most recently was the Bears offensive line coach. Okay, before that, he spent a year at Michigan as an offensive analyst, and he served as the Bills offensive line coach and run game coordinator from 2017 to 2018. Now, Coach Ron and Coach Juan have worked together before. Okay, they worked together on the Eagles staff from 99 to 2003 when Ron was the linebackers coach. And at that time, Coach Juan was the offensive line coach. They were both under head coach Andy Reid at the time. So, you know, Ron always likes to pull in people he know. Y'all know how that go. So he definitely is pulling in people that he knows. as we know that he does. And so we want to wish Coach Juan the best and thank Coach Pete for all that he's done for the team since he's been with the team. So more to come, more to absolutely come. So has everybody checked in and hit the love button? Because I want to make sure I acknowledge everybody now that we have gone through some of the week's highlights. We know some of the highlights are not always so happy with the passing of Charlie Taylor and other news with the retiring of Coach Pete Hayner. But you all, let's get started. It's always so much we could talk about when it comes to the Commanders. And that's why we're going to continue to do the show during the off season, because there's something to talk about. When is there not anything to talk about when it comes to the Commanders? There's always something. But every so often, you all know I like to play this game. And this is not, it's not what's your one word. It's choose your own adventure. Choose your own adventure. And what does choose your own adventure entail? Choosing your own adventure entails, this is when we get really engaged in fan conversation and want to engage with you all and say, okay, almost at a rapid speed pace, what do you all want to talk about? We can talk about anything, you name it. We can go down the list and have at it. But if you have questions, if you want to ask something, let's talk about it. Let's ask it. Now is the time, especially during the off season, to really say, okay, let's talk about some things. We have some thoughts, want to share and think about these things. So I always open it up, and we don't have this too often where we say, okay, what does everybody have to talk about? And I see that Damon has already pitched in and said the quarterback search. Now, here's the thing that's key with the quarterback search. Let's be for real. If we're being really honest about the quarterback search, let's just be honest, right? We know that last year, the Washington Commanders they went at Matt Stafford, right? They were in those conversations. They lost, right, to the Rams. Matt made a different decision. And so everyone knows, we've been talking about this for the longest time, that yes, they're trying to look to make another splash. They're trying to look to bring in a veteran quarterback. We also know that there's opportunity to still bring in a rookie quarterback through the draft. Maybe not in the first round, maybe in one of the later rounds, but there's absolutely still an opportunity to draft. I think what everybody knows and what's a known fact is that they're trying to put a bid in. They're trying to put things together. What it's going to come down to, and depending on a lot of these clauses that other quarterbacks have, what you would see is if they want to come to Washington. And one of the things that we've been discussing, and you all may have heard me mention in one of the shows last week, is what's the pitch? What's the angle? Now, sure, Coach Ron may talk a little bit about, what he's sharing in terms of the potential and all those things, but he's not going to give all of his nuggets away publicly. But at the same token, it starts to make you think and make you wonder, well, what are they going to say? What would make a Russell Wilson come to Washington? I've been seeing Russell Wilson's name circulated. I've been seeing Derek Carr's name circulated. I've been seeing Deshaun Watson's name circulated. I know he's got a lot of issues, and so I'm thinking that folks want to make sure that those issues are resolved before he would be in the burgundy and gold. I think the reality is there's some people that think you got to give up the whole farm if you want somebody like an Aaron Rodgers. People still don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. Is he going to even stay in the league? He may retire. And so got to see what happens. I think that the pitch is what's important. Let's not forget that in cases where you're talking about a Russell Wilson and even potentially a Derek Carr, and of course, an Aaron Rodgers, and even a Deshaun Watson. These players have say in where they go. They just don't get traded. They don't just go anywhere. And just get sent wherever they want to go. Some of them definitely have trade clauses and they have absolute say in where they go. I think what needs to be discussed and what needs to be shared is, what is the pitch? What is the angle? Here's what I'm thinking a pitch and an angle could be. A pitch and an angle could absolutely be that this quarterback, veteran quarterback, has say in the direction that the team is headed in going forward. If you all are paying attention to some of the teams that have solid, consistent quarterback play, there are the teams where the quarterback and the coach are hand in hand. They're right there together. They're right there together, even in decision-making spaces. They're right there. I think that's going to be key in a pitch to a veteran quarterback. And in this case, we're talking about veteran quarterbacks that are Super Bowl champions. We're talking about quarterbacks who have played at the highest level. So we're not talking about quarterbacks that's just been in the league for a long time. We're talking about quarterbacks who have played with the best, have played against the best, and have defeated some of the best, right? So I think what's going to be key to a quarterback, a veteran quarterback that potentially is already a Super Bowl champion, it's their opportunity to be Super Bowl champions again in a new city where they have some decision-making authority and where their voices and where their opinions are going to absolutely matter. I think that's going to be key. For those quarterbacks who have not yet won a Super Bowl, I think that what's going to be important is talking to them about the pieces that the team currently has that can get there. And oh, by the way, who else can they get in the room? In both cases, whether you're dealing with a Super Bowl champion quarterback or not a Super Bowl champion quarterback, in both cases, you want to ensure that this quarterback has relationships where people are like, I'm either going to follow you there or I can't wait to play with you. That has to happen because we all have to understand that that's the kind of conversations that are happening in the off season. The opportunity to play with the best receivers, to be protected by a strong offensive line, best offensive line. Now, Coach Juan can help with a little bit of that too, right? Even though he's the tight ends coach, he's got a lot of extensive experience with offensive line coaching. So others may have worked with him in the past and already know of his work ethic and his caliber and say, come with me to Washington. Those things are absolutely key in your pitch. And I think we're seeing, I'm going to go back to the point of walking alongside your quarterback and coach. We're seeing in some instances, let's go back to a Russell Wilson and an Aaron Rodgers. We go back in instances where we've seen them call plays. We've seen their coach defer to them on what works best. Is Coach Ron going to be for that? Is he going to be okay with deferring to a quarterback? If a quarterback says, I'm out here, I'm reading this defense, and I hear what we're calling right now, but this is what I'm seeing out there because I can see everything. Is he going to be able to respond effectively to that type of leader? We have to keep those things in mind because they really much so have to be married. They have to work alongside each other, and that is important. I saw another question come through, and keep the questions coming through. We're going to definitely try to hit as much as possible. I saw another question come through. All the rumors about what was offered for this, that, and the third, they were wrong. They were not correct. It was all not even true. It wasn't even real. Now, if you ask CWall, if anybody's trade bait, CWall is going to say yes. All of them can be trade bait as far as I'm concerned, okay? That's my answer. I think that the organization will tell you that there are some players that are absolutely untouchable. And I think that Chase Young is one of those players. I think Jonathan Allen is one of those players. And I think Terry McLaurin is one of those players. I think those three would be identified as untouchable from a trade perspective. I think that's the organization's answer. That's not my answer, but I think that's the organization's answer. So I wanted to address that and address the rumors that are including Chase, and all those things are absolutely not true. So don't believe them. It's not true. That's why you ain't seen me really talk about it. I didn't bring it up last week because I was like, this is getting a little insane. So crazier things have happened, but you never know. Shall see. I'm seeing a lot of talk in the chat, and keep those questions coming through, you all, about needing a number 2 wide receiver and drafting a wide receiver. I'm going to go back because I'm going to keep using certain teams like the Super Bowl champion LA Rams as an example. Yes, they absolutely in free agency got their quarterback in Matt Stafford. I'm going to go back to the fact, too, that they recognized they weren't going to get it done with Jared Goff. That's key. That's key right there. Recognizing who you're not going to get it done with and when time is up. Did Jared Goff need 5-10 years to figure out he wasn't going to get it? No, they didn't. And they're in win now mode. And so you have to appreciate the trade that happened there. What I also think is key when we're talking about number 2 receivers and having more than just your one shot person is key, because as amazing and electrifying and efficient and just remarkable as Cooper Kupp is, they still had to get a Odell Beckham Jr. And that is key. That is key. Getting that other receiver is key. And I think a really hard question folks need to ask. Terry McLaurin is doing great, but is he doing Cooper Kupp things? Is he doing Odell Beckham Jr. things? That still remains to be seen. I think he's totally capable, absolutely capable. But those things they all have to align for certain. Okay. But I think the key point there is, yes, they got Cooper Kupp, but they absolutely still said, come on, Odell, we need you to win the Super Bowl. I'm going to go back to a point where we're bringing up defenses. Again, I'm going to use the Rams. I'm going to keep using the Rams because the Rams taught us a lot, because they had just gotten, right? They picked up Sonny from, I think he played for the New England Patriots. Sonny Michel, he was picked up. Several pieces that they picked up where you think they've answered the mail. You think they've answered the question. You think they have the answer. But they went out and still got better. Let's talk about Aaron Donald. Now, when Von Miller was still playing the Denver Broncos, they talking about Von Miller was going to retire. They talking about his back was messed up. When the Washington Commanders went out there and played, remember, he was out. He was hurt. Ends up going to the LA Rams, winning another Super Bowl. See, yes, Aaron Donald is fantastic. I mean, all the words that I use for Cooper Kupp, you can use that for Aaron Donald as well, okay? So listen, all of those things and then some, but still had to do what? Get a Von Miller, right? Get someone who has played at the highest level and achieved and won at the highest level. Here's what was so important, and one of the things that stuck out in my mind about Von Miller and what he was sharing with his team is that in critical moments, right, in the playoff journey, he was sharing with his Rams teammates what he had other players share with him. Peyton Manning and others when they were on their Super Bowl journey. See, that's the key. That's the thing. The veteran experience of those that have played at the highest level and won. Because then you can share that knowledge on. That's key. Who on the current Washington Commanders team can do that? I see many of you commenting in the chat about free agency. Who can comment? Who can talk about what it takes to be a champion? And here's the thing. Watch this. It wasn't that Odell could talk about it. It wasn't that Sean McVay could talk about it. Matt Stafford couldn't even talk about it, right? But you had to get a player, another player in there that could talk about it. And this is a defensive player that can get others motivated, right? Because yes, you're going to always hear me say that the quarterback is the leader. But you're going to also hear me say somebody that has won at the championship level. Is that somebody? Is that Kendall Fuller? Do we need Kendall Fuller to say something? Somebody say something. Somebody with that championship pedigree that understands what it takes to understand the noise, to understand the drama, to understand the theatrics, the anxiety, everything around what it takes to win the Lombardi Trophy. We're not talking about getting to the playoffs, because let's talk about the playoffs again, because this was one of the best, if not the best playoffs that I've ever seen. Okay. That playoffs, especially when you got into that second week of the playoffs, any one of those teams could have won that Super Bowl. Anybody could have won it. They all brought their best. It wasn't anybody that said, oh, we didn't show up today. No, nobody want to play today. That didn't happen. This right here, now that's some good football right there. So those are the things you got to think about. Not just winning the division. Look at how hard each one of these teams were playing and coaching to just get to the next round, for the opportunity to walk away from it all as champions. Yes, there needs to be some splashes made, but there needs to be some strategic splashes made. Where do you need to beef up? As far as I'm concerned, that every place needs to be beef up. I saw complete, yes, the linebacker position, what's available. We'll talk about the Rams, but the Bengals did an excellent job in free agency as well. The Bengals did an excellent job in free agency, and they also have done a heck of a job in the draft. You have to draft well. And so while we're talking about picking up a veteran quarterback, which is important, let me tell you something. The Washington Commanders must draft well. This ain't the year to bomb. This is the year to get it right. Some of these teams out here drafting very well. Okay? Time for people to rise to the occasion. It's time to see that fire, because we're watching players across the league play extremely well on rookie contracts. Okay? On rookie contracts. Let's say that again. This is not waiting for them to develop. These are people that playing off the break. They out there killing it. They out there like they've been there before. Washington absolutely must draft well. That's why we're going to continue to have these conversations and talk about these things leading up to the draft, because it's very important. Now, I know there's some drama around the draft. I don't know if you all have heard, but I know there was some controversy between the attendees and the participants of the combine in the NFL. It's a lot of NFL COVID restrictions in place, and the agents and the players aren't feeling it. So more to come there, where to the point where some players are talking about boycotting the combine, not even showing up. They feel like, what's the point in going if we're going to talk to everybody virtually? More to come there, as always. So listen, we are already at time. Can you believe what? Time sure enough does fly when you're having fun now, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Absolutely. Listen, you guys, don't forget the show is on every single Friday. Channel 11, Channel 77, locally, Coaching from the Couch, both shows. I got to change. Look, we got to change it here too. It's Washington football team everywhere, you guys, until I say it's not. Anyway, no, but seriously, you can still catch it. So even if you miss it, tell your friends you can still catch it, okay? It's very important. Do not miss a show, and there's no reason to miss any of the shows at all, okay? You guys, listen, as always, it is a pleasure and my esteemed honor to share the DMV sports news, Washington Commanders updates, and everything in between with you guys, okay? You all stay safe, and I'll be seeing you guys again soon.
You're not on the field or ice. CWall. You're on the couch. From DG to DC, this is Coaching from the Couch with your host, CWall. Delivering coverage for all DC sports teams from the hometown perspective. Nats, Skins, Mystics, DC United, Washington Wizards, Caps, Bowie State.
My name's CWall, I'm a PG girl. Down for my skins, I don't know if you heard. If you like watching sports, then I am your girl. Sit down on the couch if you not on the field. Cold on the ice, pick any sport that you want. Know that I cover it tight. What would you like? From baseball to football and more. The list can go on the whole night. Big shouts out to my HBCU fam. Never forget who I am through the wins and the losses, the highs and the lows. We gotta stay strong, so I stay